Towering skyscrapers and avant-garde designs are coming to dominate Beijing's skyline. Beijing's annual GDP of over $150 billion is now more than the entire economy of New Zealand. But some residents of China's capital think that economic growth is exacting too heavy a toll on their historic city. These are kutongs, and they're an endangered species. Kutongs are centuries-old narrow streets and courtyard homes. Many neighbourhoods were formed by one courtyard merging with another. An estimated 2,000 kutongs have been levelled to make way for modern development. This is Ke Shuzheng, known throughout the capital as the voice of the kutongs. His protest began in the early 1980s when he wrote an open letter to the government complaining bitterly about what he saw as the wanton destruction of the Chinese capital's heritage. There's been no let-up in his campaign. Ke Shuzheng is our heritage hero. The Beijing kutongs date mostly from the Ming dynasty that ruled China in the early 15th century. The Forbidden City. This is where the ruling classes lived. Fanning out on a mainly north-south axis were the kutongs, the modest neighbourhoods of the merchants and artisans of medieval imperial China. According to UNESCO, in the past 3 years alone, a third of the area that makes up the central part of the old city, covering some 62 square kilometres, has been redeveloped.
If the kutongs and courtyards in Beijing are badly damaged, it means that Beijing's cultural heritage is badly damaged. If Beijing's cultural heritage is badly damaged, in actual fact, the very souls of the native Beijing residents would be lost.
In 1988, Ke Shuzheng formed a pressure group, the Beijing Cultural Heritage Protection Center. A bland title, but a daring development in a country where dissent is not a part of the political landscape. The organisation works at a grassroots level to build public support for the conservation of kutongs. And perhaps its greatest support comes from the younger residents of Beijing who have benefited from China's booming economy. This kutong is now one of the most fashionable streets in Beijing, where Michel Sutuyadi and Ed Hung have opened their store, NLGX. They are Ke Shuzheng supporters.
The two characters on the T-shirt read Bu Chai, which means do not destroy or don't demolish, as in like destroying the old and protected hutongs in Beijing. And on the back of the T-shirt we have actually the words preserve, create, which is the slogan of NLGX, but it's also about preserving the old while creating a new Beijing.
They are convinced the best prospects for preserving the kutongs is reinventing them for the modern world.
5-6 years ago, this place started getting hot, cafes started opening, and the interesting thing, even with the kind of the boutiques and the artists moving into the neighborhood, the local area still, the local residents are still around. So you see, the old ladies just sitting around, playing mahjong or talking about gossip. You see people biking around. You also see people from all the world, like tourists, people from all over China. They come to visit this place.
With the help of young supporters like Sutuyadi and Hung, Ke Shuzheng has been able to get the international media to support his campaign. His Beijing Cultural Heritage Protection Center also received a boost from renowned master painter Zheng Shecheng. Shecheng has spent the last decade drawing kutongs before they were bulldozed. The drawings have now been published.
Speaking of the protection of Beijing kutongs, I used to think it was the building that mattered before I wrote the book. But after my book was published, I realised it was the spirit that was being lost. The spirit of kutong cultures, the sense of community that kutong life created.
According to Kashuzheng, the centre's protests are preventing the destruction of the neighborhood of Gulo. Dating back to the Yuan dynasty, its famous drum and bell towers have stood for more than 700 years. However, the Beijing authorities, it seems, still need convincing that Kutongs should be protected.
The government came up with a concept called Beijing City of Time. They are going to invest billions into building a huge new development in this area. They will destroy many kutongs and courtyards by building new buildings. This is what they are going to do.
Some of the families living here claim to be able to trace their occupancy over 600 years. It will take less than 30 minutes for a bulldozer to tear the buildings down. For Kashuzheng, the danger is much more than the loss of a piece of the city's history.
China has developed too fast in the last decade. Chinese people are changing too fast. Our cultural heritage is fast being lost. We would deeply regret it if we did not fight to preserve our cultural heritage now, before it's too late.